I've been reading consistently ever since the beginning of 2025, and with that hobby, another hobby also came about, and that is book shopping. If you can tell behind me, there is bookshelves of books that I own that I have not read. I always keep track of all of the books that I purchased or were gifted, and I track them on Libby, which is this app where you can scan the barcode of the book. I have about 700 physical books, which is crazy considering I just started reading last year. I'm going to show you my bookshelf and how I organize all of these books. The books that you see behind me is actually not all of the books that I own, because I have a separate, smaller bookcase in my room where it actually hosts all of the second books and on from a book series. And I also have a small Ikea Billy bookcase right in front of me here, and it has all of the books that I read from last year, as well as the 50 books that I have added into my 2026 TBR. I am planning to upgrade this bookcase to the Ikea Billy bookcase. Right now, I'm going to share with you all of the books that I currently have with my current bookshelf. Let's go on a tour and I'll show you around. Before we go into kind of like shelf by shelf, let me just kind of go over what kind of books I put in each shelf, and then we'll go closer to it and I'll show you some of the books that I'm excited to read, and of course the book that I'm excited to own as well. So on the top left shelf, I have what I call a shelf for standalone fantasy books. Right next to it, I have the first book of a long-ish fantasy book series. And then the third shelf is what I call my duology slash trilogy fantasy bookshelf. And on the last one is my YA romance bookshelf. And going into the second row from the top, all the way to the left, I have my mystery and thriller book collection. Right next to it, I have half of that as mystery and thriller, and the other half as historical fiction, which actually goes all the way to the third shelf right there. And the last shelf is all of my book of the month books, the ones that I purchased myself from the subscription, as well as the ones that I found from thrift stores and public library book sales. And then the next row below it, the first three rows are basically all of my romance or contemporary romance books organized by author's last name. And then the last shelf on the right, the book stack that is vertical, is all of my holiday theme romance book. Basically, there's a couple of them that are just general fiction that has Christmas or the holiday around it. The books that are just stacked upright are some of the books that I recently purchased, so it's a mix of different things, some contemporary romance, some first book in a long-ish fantasy book series. I know you can't really see it right now, but the two shelves that are behind my ugly couch are basically all of the general fiction books that I have. On the left side is the paperback version, or the paperback books of general fiction, and then next to it is all of the hardcovers that I have. And the last two shelves on the bottom are the first book in contemporary romance book series that I have, but towards the end I also have basically the next book in a series that I'm in the middle of. It might be a little hard to see, but I also have one of the skinny IKEA bookcase on this wall. This is kind of like a temporary place for it, because I'm not sure if I do want to upgrade my bookshelf to the IKEA Billy bookcase, but I think I will after having this bookshelf for like a month or so. I do like how sleek it looks on my wall, like against my white wall, and I know that if I have white bookshelves, it's just gonna make my office brighter. This bookshelf actually houses all of the books that I read from 2025, and the bottom shelf actually hosts the 50 book titles that I put in my 2026 TBR jar. So we are in the first bookshelf. This is my standalone fantasy book shelf, except for I think the Rose Bargain here, because I think this one is gonna be a series. Anyways, a lot of these I'm super excited to read because it is a standalone book, so once I finish the book, I will not have to continue to like another book in a series. So, which one am I excited to read? Okay, The Ministry of Time by Callie Bradley. This one was so popular last year, and I'm super excited to read this, as well as The Wishing Game. I think this one also has a pretty interesting premise. Catabasis by R.F. Kuang is pretty new. I don't know if you can see it. It's like so dark. Hold on. Is that a bit better? I think it is, because all of the book spines are dark, so it's just hard to make it, easier to see. But anyways, I also have The 13th Child by Aaron A. Craig. This one again was talked about, I feel like, maybe the last few months of 2025, and I found this at book outlet, so I decided to buy them. I'm also pretty interested in reading Water, Moon, and the Night Circus, because I have heard so many great things about it. I did start Babel by R.F. Kuang. As you can see, my bookmark is like right here. I need to continue this. I started to read this last year because I needed to read this book for one of the Goodreads like seasonal challenge prompt, but I didn't finish it, so I definitely want to finish that book. It was really interesting. This one, called Hotel Magnifique by Emily J. Taylor, is also pretty interesting, and I would definitely love to read that. As well as The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This one is so popular that I was able to find this book probably at a few like public library bookstores. But I got this one, I'm pretty sure, from maybe one of the library in LA. Heard so many great things about this one. I'm also on the hunt for the other book, Circe, by the same author, so hopefully I'll be able to find it. This next shelf is what I would call the first book in a longish fantasy sci-fi book series. I just don't know where I should put my sci-fi books because I don't have that many. But anyways, a lot of these are pretty popular. You can probably see, for example, this one, Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinniman. Everybody and their moms talk about this book and how great it is. They are usually not sci-fi readers and they don't really play games or video games, but this book is still a really great read for them, so I'm excited to read this one. This is the first book, and I got them because I don't want to buy the hardcover, so I'm probably gonna have to wait for the next book in the series to come in paperback to get them, but it's okay because I haven't even read the first one. And I also love that this one has a cat character right here. I think the cat is called Princess Donut. I have a cat. I'm a cat lover, so I'm excited to read this one for that as well. I think I also want to read Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan. This one is a series based on Chinese folklore, I think. I have all of the books in the series already, so I definitely need to start that one. Same with Five Broken Blades. I have all of the books in the series, and I've heard so many great things about this book, so I cannot wait to start reading that. Also, the last one by Rachel Housel Hall. I have the second book already. I'm hoping that it is just a duology. I'm not really sure though, but I've heard great things about this one. Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Heard about that one as well. I have the paperback. I was tempted to get the special edition version with the silver like sprayed edges, but I don't think I need it. I have the paperback here. I will read this first and then go from there. So excited to read The Hurricane Wars by Tia Guanzon. I think the second book is already out, so I might need to get a start on this one. I'm excited also to read Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber, but a couple people are telling me that I need to read Caraval first, so I will start on that trilogy first before going over to this one. Yeah, I'm excited honestly to read all of these. I've heard so many great things about these books, and again, let me know in the comment below if there is any book that you love that you think I should read first. Moving on to this shelf, this is my duology slash trilogy bookshelf. I feel like I have a variety of different duology that I'm so excited to read. I definitely want to start reading Cassandra Clare's books, and I know she has the Shadowhunters universe, and it's a very long book series, so I decided to start with her newer, I think, universe. I don't know what it's called, but basically it's this book right here, Swordcatcher and the Rag Picker King. I know there's a third book for it that is coming out this year, but so far I only have the first two books because I will wait to buy the third book after I finish at least the first book. This is the duology, actually it's a trilogy now, by J.C. Lee that is, I think, based on Korean folklore. I did pre-order the third book, so I'm hoping that I will be able to at least read the first book this year as well. I've also heard so many great things about the Legendborn series by Tricia Dion. Tracy Dion. I have the first two books and I did pre-order the third one. Honestly, I'm just waiting for it to come into paperback because I do have the first two books in paperbacks. I'm also excited to read Chloe Gong's fantasy books. This one, I think it's a duology, and I have like the novella that comes after that, I think, or in between the other series that she has. I need to do my research on which book in this universe that I need to start with. I'm pretty sure This Violent Delights is the first one that I need to read. I'm also excited to read this duology, the Snow Globe duology. I heard about this from one of the Barnes & Noble sellers like a while ago. She was saying that she was reading this book and it's amazing. They're killing off characters left and right. So honestly, I was just curious about it. And this last one right here is technically a long-ish book series, but they are split into a duology and a trilogy. So I decided to put this on the shelf, and I just heard so many great things about this universe, so I decided to also grab the books. So let's start with the YA romance bookshelf. This is mostly all of the YA romance books that I have. I am honestly super excited to read the Boys of Tommen series because I've heard so many great things about them. And I am a fan of Lynn Painter's YA romance books, and I do have Betting on You and The Do-Over here. I'm a little bit apprehensive, I guess, about reading The Do-Over because I know that that book setting is like the time loop. You know, I think she's stuck on February 14 over and over again. I know that most of the time I don't really like that setting, but we'll see. Hopefully I would like that. I also have a couple books here that I got from Simonton Influencer Books. Actually, this one, and this one, I did receive it from Simon & Schuster. So I really need to read these three books because they sent it to me, and I did requested this book, so I definitely have to read it sometime soon. I also have a couple books from J.C. Lee and Anne Liang, and I think this book is based on one of the Shakespeare's play, I want to say. And then this one, I honestly just don't have any other Anne Liang's book, I think, and I really want to read one of her books because I heard that her books are also great. We are starting with my mystery thriller bookshelf. This is one of them. I feel like I still cannot really differentiate between mystery and thriller, so I just kind of clump them together. But let me know in the comment below, how do you determine which one is mystery, which one is thriller? So the ones that I'm honestly super excited to read is to continue the Finlay Donovan series. This is, I think, the third, fourth, and fifth book. I have the second book in a different shelf because I have read the first one, so I'm going to continue the series with reading the second one. I'm also interested in reading this series by Jessica Sutanto. I think it's called the Auntie series. This is the third book, and this one is the second one, and it has something to do with like a wedding business and murder mystery. So I'm excited to hopefully get to that book this year. Let me fix this. And I'm also excited to read this one, The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I found this at a library bookstore in LA, and I just immediately drawn to it because it seems like it's set in the 1920s with the Art Deco like style of cover. So I'm hoping that is the case. I haven't really read the synopsis, but I think it is. But anyways, I'm excited to read this one. If you have read it, let me know your thoughts. I also heard really great review of this one, All Good People Here by Ashley Flowers. It's a really thin mystery or thriller book, I think. Like I said, I'm not really sure how to differentiate between the two of them, but I've heard really great things about this one. It's a pretty fast-paced, quick book, I heard, so I am hoping to maybe read this one as well. And this one, The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware, also is pretty intriguing for me because it is set on a cruise ship, I believe, and I am an avid cruise goer, I guess. A few years ago, I've been on 10 cruises, so I just thought this would be an interesting book to read. Alright, moving over to the next shelf. This is kind of like half a mystery thriller and half historical fiction. So let's see, from here, from this half, I definitely want to read The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I've heard so many great things about this one, as well as this one by Holly Jackson, The Reappearance of Rachel Price. This one is interesting because the main character's mom basically disappeared like 16 years ago, and then she reappeared like after being missing for like 16 years or so. So this just kind of piqued my interest. I also heard this one, Local One Missing by Mary Kubica, as being pretty good. I got this at one of the library bookstore, and the volunteer who was manning kind of like the cashier of the bookstore was saying that Mary Kubica is really, really a good writer. If you like psychological thriller, this is the one that you might want to, keep an eye out. This author's books basically, so I cannot wait to read this one. Also, The Silent Patient. I've heard so many great things about this one as well. I will try to read it, hopefully. I have to kind of pick and choose which one I want because, like I said, I'm not really always in a mood for mystery thrillers, so I just need to find a good time to read some of these books. Alright, so this half is the historical fiction, and as you can see, I have two Kristen Hanna's books that I definitely want to read. I know that it's gonna be pretty emotional, so I don't know if I want to read it right now, maybe in the summer. I don't know. But The Nightingale and The Great Alone are two of the ones that I have here that I'm excited to read. But I'm also excited to read this one, Lady Tan Circle of Women by Lisa C. I think it's about a woman in China back in, I don't know what the year was. But basically she was training to become a physician or a surgeon or something like that. But at the time, women can't really do that type of line of work, so that will be interesting to read. And also Sarah Penner's books, either The Amalfi Curse and The London Sian Society. I'm definitely excited to read one of these books. And I don't know if I mentioned this, I actually met Sarah Penner in person. She went to the Las Vegas library event last year, so I got my book signed by her, which is pretty cool. So I cannot wait to read some of her books. Okay, so this shelf is mostly historical fiction. Obviously, I have the Bridgerton series right here, and just like random other historical fiction books that I have. I am super excited to read the Bridgerton series. I know that I'm pretty late about it, but it's okay. It's better late than never. I'm also super excited to read these two books by Yangtze Chu. The Ghost Bride, I believe, is already a TV series on Netflix, which makes me want to read this book even more. If you read the synopsis of these two books, I think you'd be interested as well. I do also have my kind of like leftover duology here. I have the Divine Rivals duology and also this one by Tricia Levenseller, The Shadows Between Us duology, I think. I just put it here because there's no more space like on the top. This shelf is my Book of the Month bookshelf. I am subscribed to Book of the Month, but most of the books that I have here are the ones that I found either at thrift stores or public library bookstores and stuff like that. There's a few books here that I am super excited to read because I've heard so many great things about them. The first one is the very thick one in the middle, Homesickings by Carissa Chen. This is about, I think, a couple who was together, I guess, when they were a teenager or when they were a kid. But then a war in China broke out. He decided to enlist in the military and basically left her in China. And I think eventually he ended up in LA. And on present day, he actually sees her in LA at like 99 Ranch Market. And they were both like 70s or 80s. So this book is kind of telling the story about the two of them in the past 7 decades, which is super interesting. But how thick it is definitely what makes me intimidated. I'm also really excited to read Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. I actually got this last February thinking that I'm gonna read it because I actually got this early. But I didn't. I haven't. I think The Leavers by Lisa Ko, I heard great things about this book as well, so I am excited to read it. Shark Heart has a very, very interesting premise. It's about a married couple whose husband actually are transitioning to becoming a shark. It's weird that in this world, human can transform into like an animal. and I just want to know what that is all about. Next shelf is actually the first contemporary romance shelf. I did organize them by the author's last name. There's a bunch of books here that I am so excited to read. Let's see. Oh, I think I definitely want to read Catherine Center book that I have here. I only have Hello Stranger right here. Catherine Center writes really great books, and I just really love her writing style. She is one of my auto-read authors, and if you want to give her a try, definitely try out her other books. I haven't read this one, so I would recommend either The Bodyguard or The Rom-Commers. I think those two are my favorite books by Catherine Center. Another ones that I am interested to read are the books by Cara Bastone. I've heard so many great things about her books, particularly this one, Promise Me Sunshine, and Ready or Not. I think both of them have really great reviews by people who have read the books. I think I also want to continue Carly Fortune's universe. I definitely want to start reading One Golden Summer, probably in the summer, because it's still kind of like winter here, I guess, in Vegas. Let's see. I definitely want to read this as well. I've heard so many great things about this one. It's a sapphic romance. I don't think I've read a lot of them, but I definitely want to give this one a try. I also still have quite a few of Ailey Hazelwood's books that I haven't read yet. I definitely want to read Love Hypothesis because I know that this one is going to be adapted to a movie pretty soon. Not sure when the movie is coming out, but I definitely want to read this. And I guess People, Women on Vacation by Emily Henry. I haven't watched the movie yet because I haven't read this. And I heard that the movie and the book is a bit different, so I just want to read the book first so I can see the difference. Moving on to the next bookshelf over, this one is kind of like the second part of my contemporary romance collection. Again, there are so many books that I am dying to read, but let's see. I think I'm definitely interested in continuing Roselle Lim's contemporary romance, which is this one. It's not really a book series, but I think some of the characters are in each other's book, so I definitely want to read them in the publication order. So the next one is Vanessa Yu's Magical Paris Tea Shop, and then Sophie Go's Lonely Hearts Club. The first one, I forgot what the name was, but it was a blue book, and that book was very unexpected, especially the ending, and I definitely cried a little bit. It was such a great book. I cannot wait to read these two books. I also haven't read anything by Christina Lauren, I believe. I don't think so, but I do have 3 of their books already here. And I definitely heard really great things about The Unhoneymooners, which is this one right here. And I think I might read this in the summer because it's Crim Summer, to be honest. Lauren Kang Jessen's book, also I haven't read any of them, and I definitely want to read one of them. I think Lunar Love is the first one that was published, so I definitely want to read that sometime soon. What else? Oh, this one by Sengu Mandanas. Both of these books are very interesting. I think I know that they are kind of, Halloween-y, but I feel like you can probably read it whenever you feel like you want to. And last but not least, I think that I'll talk about is this one by Annabelle Monaghan, Nora Goes Off Script. I also love her writing style and her FMC. I especially love Summer Romance by her because that book is just really, really good. I love the MMC and how cute he is. It's definitely swoon-worthy in my opinion. And if you have not read any Annabelle Monaghan's book, I definitely would start with the Summer Romance. Alright, this is the last shelf of my contemporary romance that is sorted by the author's last name. There are so many books that I am excited to read. The first one is It's Different This Time by Josh Richard, which is this one right here. I feel like last fall, that book and the book by Julie Olivia was like the fall book of the year. And I'm also excited to read these 2 books that I have by Nikki Payne, Pride and Protest, and then Sex, Lies, and Sensibility, which is these 2 right here. I actually saw her at the Las Vegas book festivals, and she talks so passionately about her books, and I'm so excited to read that book. I also have a bunch of books by Rebecca Surley, I think. I have 4 of them, if you can tell. and I haven't read any of them, so I definitely want to get into that. I'm also excited for this one by Tia Williams, 7 Days in June. I actually got this from a library bookstore, I think in LA, maybe in OC. And I've heard so many great things about Tia Williams' books, so I'm hoping that I get to read that one as well this year. Let's move over to this one. This one is technically just a mix of books that I just recently purchased, a couple of duologies that I have here, and also a stack of the holiday theme books that I have. Most of them are contemporary romance that is based on the holiday, you know, like Christmas season. But I have a couple that are just like general fiction book. I honestly super excited to find Raven Scholar, which is this book, at Book Outlet, and I decided to get it. I didn't think that it's gonna be this thick, to be honest with you. That is the first book in a trilogy, so I'm not sure when I'm gonna be able to get into it, but I've heard that the book is really great, at least the first one, and it is dark academia, so I'm excited to read that. I've also heard about the Direbound book a lot lately, and I decided to get it because I did find it at Book Outlet, and I did not know that, again, it is that thick. I also got this one, Plus Size Player by Danielle Allen. I am excited to read that book. I'm looking for another author that is similar to Kennedy Ryan, and I feel like maybe it might not be as similar, but I'm excited to read that book. I also have another one by the same author. This is technically like a standalone interconnected series, and I think I still have that outside because I haven't cleaned it yet. I usually clean all of the cover of my books that I got with just like Clorox wipes because I got them from thrift stores and Book Outlet. Sometimes they are dirty, like dusty, so I usually leave them outside until I'm able to clean it and scan it into my Libib app. Also, one last thing I'm going to talk about in this bookshelf is Lovely War. I've heard a lot of people also talk about this book lately. It's a historical fiction book, but it also has some Greek goddesses in the book somehow. And honestly, I'm just curious about it. So I decided to grab them when I see them at Book Outlet. So this is the next general fiction or literary fiction bookshelf that I have. It is packed to the brim because I just have a bunch of them, and I was able to find most of these either from Book Outlet, from thrift stores, and from the library bookstore. There's so many books that I'm so excited to read here. Let's see. I definitely want to start reading one of Kristen Hanna's books, which I do have right here. Night Road. I don't know if a lot of people actually talk about this book, but I found this book, I believe, at a library bookstore, so I decided to pick it up because everybody loved Kristen Hanna's book, so I just wanted to see if, you know, this one is a good one as well. So let me know if you have read this one. What else? Oh, I know that up here you can't really see, but The Dutch House by Anne Patchett. It's a Pulitzer Prize finalist, and I found this at Las Vegas Bookstore, which is the used bookstore that I love in Vegas, for like $5.99. So I decided to get it. It's pretty much brand new. Heard that Carrie Soto is Back by Taylor Jenkins Reid is a pretty good book as well. I noticed that anytime I pick up a Taylor Jenkins Reid book, I would just read it right away, almost in like a few sittings. And I know that her writing style I love, so I think I will be able to read this quite fast, so I'm hoping to read this soon. I also have the Crazy Rich Asian like trilogy, and I want to start reading the book series probably this year because obviously we all watched the movie, and I just want to read the other two books because I think it's gonna be the characters that we know from the movie as well. I have a bunch of Frederick Backman's book right here also that I want to start reading. Anxious People, Britt Marie Was Here, and Beartown. I also want a bunch of Kevin Wilson's books, like right here, all of these books by Kevin Wilson. I have not read it. I think I read one and it was pretty interesting, and I think he has similar style with Frederick Backman, so if you like Frederick Backman's book, I think you'll also love Kevin Wilson's book. And this one, I also want to read it. Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine. Again, I heard so many great things about this book. There's just so many general fiction, literary fiction book that I have here that I really need to start looking into these bottom shelves because I have a lot of books. We're actually at the general fiction bookshelf that is kind of like lower to the ground. I don't know if you can see some of them, but let me just back it up a little bit. All right, so I just put this book called Family Drama out here because I just received this from Simon & Schuster. I am part of the Simon's Book Buddy program, and I requested this because it just sounds very interesting to me, so I decided to get them, and they sent it over to me. I do have a few kind of like witchy paranormal romance here because I don't know if I have any other space where I can put them, so I just stuck it right here. But from this pile, I definitely am interested in reading probably Sally Rooney. The first one, Beautiful World, Where Are You? I've heard great things about this book, but I also know that Sally Rooney doesn't use quotation mark for like conversation, so I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't think I've actually read any book with that style just yet, so I'm hoping that it doesn't throw me off with my reading experience reading this book in the future. I'm also interested in reading this one, An American Marriage by Tayari Jones. I think I came across this book maybe at a thrift store or at a public library bookstore. Let me move this a little bit. Oh my gosh. So you can see the rest. I'm definitely interested to read The Wedding People by Alison Aspak. I've heard so many great things about that book, so I'm excited to read that. I also would love to read this one, The Sun Sets in Singapore. I think it's about expats who live in Singapore. That would be pretty interesting to read. This one, I've had this book for such a long time. The Last Story of Mina Lee by Nancy Joan Kim. It was part of the Reese's Book Club book pick like a few years ago, and I decided to get them, but I have not even touched it. This has been in my book collection for a long time, so I definitely would love to at least read this book this year maybe. The next shelf over is the first book of some of the contemporary romance book series that I have. I just decided to put all of the first book here, so it's kind of like in my radar, so if I am in a mood to start another book series this year, I could just go right here and then see which one I would really love to start. Honestly, one of the ones that I am excited to read is probably Real by Kennedy Ryan, because I'm in the middle of her Skyland series and I really love her writing style and also her strong woman characters. So I'm hoping that this will also have similar vibe, and I cannot wait to read this one. The second book, which is called Score, is coming out sometime this year, I think in May, and I've already pre-ordered it, so I'm hoping that I get to read this and then probably Score right after that. I'm hoping that I love it, so I'm excited to read that. I'm also excited to read more of Anna Huang's book series, which is these two right here. I started The Striker, which is part of the God of the Games series, and I really like her writing style. That book, though, is a really long contemporary romance book, and I know that I read Mile High, and I get a little bored at about the 60% of the book, so I'm hoping that that will not be the case with Anna Huang's books, but I am excited for this too. It looks like they are about 300 to 400 pages, and that seems pretty okay for a contemporary romance book. I'm excited for that. Let's see. I also am excited for Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young, which is right here. I've heard so many great things about her books, and I have not read any of them just yet, so I'm excited to start that. I don't know if you can tell, but I do have Lights Out here by Nafessa Allen as well. Let me just move it real quick. But yeah, this one is a dark romance book, and I've never really read any dark romance, so I only have the first book in the series because I'm not sure if I will enjoy it or not. So after I read that first book, I will definitely look into the second book if I do enjoy it. Another one here is Butcher and Blackbird. I think that's also another dark romance that I'm not really sure if I will like it, but I want to give it a try. That's why I only have the first book. I don't have the complete series just yet because I'm not sure how I feel about it. Alright, this is the last bookshelf on like the corner on the bottom. This one basically has the second book in a series that I am currently reading. I do have Hook, Line, and Sinker. That's basically the start of like the second book in the book series. I wouldn't say it's the second book because Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan is technically the third book. I already finished the second book, so if I start and finish this book, that means I am completing that series. The Skyline series, is just amazing. A very emotional book series, especially the first one. But I do like the second one as well because it has a very unexpected event in the first 30 pages of the book. And I just love it. I love Kennedy Ryan's writing. I'm also excited to finish The Heart Principle by Helen Hong, this one. It's part of the Love Quotient, no, the Kiss Quotient series. It's a 3-book series and this is the last book. If you have been following me for a while, you know how much I love Helen Hong's writing. I think it's just brilliant. And I've been avoiding reading The Heart Principle because I know that this is her last book that is published. And I just don't want to not have anything else by her after this book. However, a few weeks ago on Instagram, she announced that she just submitted something to her editor or her agent or something like that. So I know that she's going to be coming out with new book at least in the next 2 years. So I'm definitely going to finally start The Heart Principle and finally finish this amazing 3-book series. I'm also excited to read Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. I honestly started reading this book series because I want to get to the last book in the series just for the summer because I've heard so many great things about that. I know that technically they are interconnected, standalone, and you can read it in however order you want, but I did start with the first book, so I'm gonna continue on with the second book, which is Yours Truly, hopefully soon before summer starts, because I definitely want to read just for the summer in the summer. Okay, I almost forgot to talk about this bookshelf right here, but let's see if I can even reach the top one because this Ikea Billy bookcase is just so freaking tall. Okay, this is gonna be a tricky situation to talk about the top shelf because I cannot, like, my tripod does not go this high. But anyways, this is the first shelf on top of my Ikea Billy bookcase, and this one has all of the books that I've read in 2025. Some of the ones that are interesting that I would highly recommend is definitely XOXO here by XCO. If you love K-pop culture, you would love that. I would also recommend If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. I know that is like everyone's fall 2025 book, but it is for a reason. It is a pretty long book and a very slow burn, so if you enjoy that, I think you would like that. The Housemate, of course, is popular for a reason. I do love that book, as well as Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. I cannot wait for this adaptation to be available for us to watch on Netflix, hopefully in the next couple months. Okay, I don't know why I'm out of breath, but this is the second shelf. As you can see, I have all of the books in the Summer I Turned Pretty series. I did finish that series last year. I would recommend it, but I think my favorite is definitely the first book. I would also say Cash by Jessica Peterson. I do love this book as well. The spicy scene was just written very beautifully, in my opinion. I just love the way that she writes that. I also love Good Spirits by Becky Borison. This is the holiday contemporary romance that she has. She has a second book coming out, I think, in September of 2026, so I cannot wait to read that. And The Bright Test by Helen Hong, which is this one, is my #1 favorite book of 2025, so I would highly recommend this one as well. This is the next bookshelf down. This is the third one, and I don't know if you noticed, but I did put an extra shelf here so I can put more books. But this one is more of the books that I have read last year. There's a bunch of different ones from different authors and different genre. I definitely did not categorize them or organize them in any type of way. If it fits in the bookshelf, then I would fit it in here. So a couple books that I definitely had a good time reading from this bookshelf is Finlay Donovan is Killing It. I love that book. Aftertaste also has a really, really interesting premise. Definitely give it a read and a try, and I think you'll love it. Julie Chen Is That is also pretty interesting. It's very unhinged. I did not expect the ending of that book to be that. This bookshelf is, again, more books that I have read in 2025, but also some that I read in the past. Like, for example, A Man Called Ove. I read that like maybe in 2019. It was a long time ago. I have a couple Ailey Hazelwood's books. I also have a couple of Ashley Parson books and a few of Emily Henry books. Also, Catherine Santer's books that I've read are right here. Give Catherine Santer a try because I really, really love the way that she writes her romance books. And also, this is the one that I'm talking about, the other Roselle Lim's book, Natalie Tan's Book of Luck and Fortune. I just really love the book cover, and like I said, the ending of this book was very unexpected and I cried. Okay, this book right here kind of is a mismatch of the books that I read. Also, my 2026 TBR, like this one. I have not read The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue. I started reading it, but I haven't finished it. So this is part of my 2026 TBR. So basically, all of the ones here that you see are the ones that I haven't read yet. This is part of my 2026 TBR. And this one right here are the one that I have already read. A couple of the books that I would recommend from this stack is Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan, Fake Skating by Lynn Painter, Salty Spice and a Little Bit of Nice by Cynthia Timothy, and Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, and If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy. Okay, I think the last two shelves, I'm gonna talk about them together, and I don't really want to go too in-depth with the books here because I do have a couple videos where I talk about all of the books that I pick for my 2026 TBR. A couple books that I want to just point out a bit that I'm super interested in reading soon is probably The Fox Wife by Zhang Zichu. I definitely want to read that. I've heard great things about Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. Assistant to the Villain, I've heard it's really funny and I cannot wait to read that, as well as An Ember of the Ashes or An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. I have all of the 4 books already. People said that they love the story, and I heard that this author is not afraid to kill off her characters. So I'm hoping that it's not one of the main ones that I would like. Let me just take off the book stack here because there are more books in the back. Alright, so The House of Eve by Sadika Johnson. I am interested in reading that book. I think I was sent that book over from Simon & Schuster, which is amazing. Margot's Got Money Troubles by Ruthie Thorpe also is one that I'm interested in reading. Because the adaptation, I believe, is coming to, I think it was Apple TV. It's gonna be a series. I'm interested in definitely reading The Deal by Al Kennedy. I don't know if you can see it, but it's like there. I heard that it's a pretty good book series. It's a contemporary romance series. And of course, I talk about Dial A for Aunties, which is right here, the yellow book. The yellow book right here. So those are all of the books that I currently have and how I arrange them in my current bookshelf. Like I mentioned earlier, I am planning to upgrade this bookshelf into the Ikea Billy bookcase eventually, maybe in the next few weeks or so. So if you want to see how that will look like in a future video, make sure to subscribe to my channel.